Every 7 seconds, a worker in the US is injured on the job. Most of those injuries share one thing in common. Someone walked right past the hazard without seeing it. This training will train your eyes to catch what a normal walkthrough misses, the exact hazards an inspector is trained to spot. In the next 15 minutes, you'll learn exactly what to look for during a hazard inspection walkthrough, the things most people walk right past. I'm your safety trainer, and today we're doing a walkthrough style training, the same way an inspector scans a floor, category by category. We'll cover machine guarding, PPE, line of fire hazards, ergonomics, forklift basics, electrical hazards, and slip and trip hazards. 7 categories that drive the majority of manufacturing injuries. This isn't a lecture, it's a walkthrough. Every section ends with a real scenario, so keep your eyes sharp. OSHA defines a hazard as any condition or practice with the potential to cause injury, illness, or death. Notice that word, potential. You don't need an accident to prove a hazard exists. During an inspection, you're not looking for what already broke, you're looking for what's about to. Employers must provide a workplace free from recognized hazards, and that recognition starts with trained eyes doing regular walkthroughs, not annual checklists. Quick check, true or false. A hazard only counts if someone actually gets hurt. Pause and think about it. Answer, false. A hazard exists the moment the potential for harm exists. That's exactly why inspections matter more than reactions. Once your eyes catch a hazard, here's the framework inspectors use to judge how serious the fix needs to be, the hierarchy of controls. Elimination and substitution remove the hazard entirely. Engineering controls, like machine guards, isolate people from the danger. PPE is our last line of defense, not our first. When you inspect an area, ask, is this hazard actually fixed, or is someone just wearing it? Keep that question in mind as we walk through the categories inspectors check most often, starting with moving machinery. Machine guarding hazards are everywhere manufacturing equipment has moving parts, and they're one of the easiest things to spot once you know what to look for. The rule of thumb: if a part moves, rotates, cuts, pinches, or shears, and a hand can reach it, it needs a guard. No guard, no operation. During an inspection, watch for 3 guard defeats: propped open interlocks, guards tied back with wire, and bypassed light curtains. All 3 hide in plain sight. Every one of these defeats exists because a guard slowed someone down. That's the moment hazard recognition has to override convenience. Here's a trap inspectors catch constantly: a guard that looks installed but has a gap wide enough to slide a hand through. Guards aren't just present or absent, they have to actually block the hazard. Also check point-of-operation guards on presses and shears specifically. These are among the most cited machine guarding sub-violations because operators often remove them to speed up production. If you spot a guard removed, propped open, or bypassed during a walkthrough, stop the operation and report it. That single catch prevents more injuries than any other habit on this list. PPE hazards usually aren't about missing equipment. They're about the wrong equipment for the job, or gear worn incorrectly. A hazard assessment must match PPE to the task. Safety glasses aren't rated for grinding sparks, and light gloves won't stop a laceration from sheet metal. Watch for the small mistakes. Safety glasses pushed up on a hard hat instead of on the eyes, gloves with a tear worn just for now, or a hard hat worn backwards. These small habits are where injuries start. Also watch hand protection closely. General-purpose gloves don't protect against cuts, chemicals, or heat the same way. The wrong glove is functionally the same as no glove. During a walkthrough, also check PPE storage and condition. Cracked face shields, UV-degraded safety glasses, and torn high-vis vests all fail silently until the moment they're needed most. Quick question. Which of these is not a valid reason to skip PPE? It's uncomfortable, it slows me down, or it's not rated for this specific hazard. Think about it. Answer. Only it's not rated for the hazard is valid, because that means you need different PPE, not none at all. Discomfort and speed are never acceptable reasons to go without. Now let's cover a category that causes more injuries than almost anyone expects: line of fire hazards. This is about where your body is standing, not just what's protecting it. Line of fire means positioning yourself in the path of moving equipment, falling objects, released energy, or swinging loads, even when everything else is done perfectly right. Classic line of fire hazards include standing under suspended loads, positioning between a forklift and a fixed wall, and standing in the path of a hydraulic cylinder or pressurized hose. Even a properly rigged load can shift or drop unexpectedly. That's why the rule is simple. Never position your body where a failure would put you in the impact path. Pinch points and caught between hazards fall in this category too. Anywhere a body part can be caught between a moving object and a fixed surface. Scenario. A coworker asks you to help guide a suspended steel beam into place by pushing it from directly underneath. What's the safer alternative? Correct answer. Use a tagline or push stick from the side, never your hands or body directly underneath. If the rigging fails, you want distance between you and the load. Line of fire awareness is a mindset, not a checklist. Before every task, ask yourself, if something fails right now, where does the energy go, and am I standing in its path? Ergonomic hazards don't cause dramatic accidents. They cause slow, cumulative damage that inspectors are trained to catch before it becomes a permanent injury. Look for 4 things: awkward postures, repetitive motion, excessive force, and prolonged static positions. These are the 4 root causes of musculoskeletal injuries on a production line. A classic example: a workstation where the bin is too low, forcing a worker to bend at the waist hundreds of times per shift instead of using their legs. Repetitive strain shows up in tasks like manual packaging or assembly, the same wrist or shoulder motion repeated thousands of times a day, often without any tool support. Excessive force shows up when a task requires pushing, pulling, or gripping harder than a tool or process should demand, often because equipment wasn't adjusted or maintained properly. Prolonged static postures, standing in one fixed position for hours, or gripping a tool without ever changing hand position, are just as damaging as heavy lifting over time. Scenario: you see a coworker reaching overhead repeatedly to grab parts from a high shelf all shift long. What ergonomic fix should be considered first? Correct answer: redesign the workstation, lower the shelf, add a lift assist, or rotate the task, rather than expecting the worker to just adapt their body to the hazard. During a walkthrough, ask workers directly if any task causes soreness or fatigue by the end of a shift. That question catches ergonomic hazards faster than any visual scan alone. Forklifts cause some of the deadliest incidents in manufacturing, not because they're complicated, but because pedestrians and drivers often don't see each other in time. During a walkthrough, the basics to check are simple: only certified operators driving, seatbelts worn, loads not blocking the driver's view, and pedestrians staying out of marked forklift lanes. Quick scenario: a forklift is backing up with its alarm sounding, and you're in a hurry to cross. What should you do? Correct answer: never cross. Wait for eye contact with the operator and a clear signal before you move. A loaded forklift can't stop the way a person can. Electrical hazards in manufacturing are often invisible until contact. Frayed cords, overloaded panels, and missing covers are common and dangerous. A key inspection clue: cords running through doorways, under mats, or coiled tightly during use, all signs of abuse that can lead to shock or fire. Check every extension cord for proper gauge rating. A light-duty cord powering a heavy tool can overheat inside the insulation long before you ever see smoke. Arc flash is one of the most severe electrical hazards. It happens in a fraction of a second and can generate temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Only qualified electricians should open live panels, and everyone else should treat labeled arc flash boundaries as absolute no-go zones. Also inspect for daisy-chained power strips and space heaters plugged into extension cords, small overloads that build into fire hazards over weeks, not seconds. Check for missing GFCI protection near any wet or damp area. Sinks, washdown stations, or outdoor adjacent equipment all require it, and a missing GFCI outlet is an easy, common citation. Also look at grounding, a missing or broken ground pin on a plug, or a metal enclosure that's never been bonded, defeats the entire protective system in an instant. Lighting matters too. Flickering fixtures, exposed bulbs near flammable materials, or temporary lighting strung for months instead of days are all common electrical inspection findings. Scenario: you find a metal equipment enclosure that feels warm and gives a light tingling sensation when touched. What's your very next move? Correct answer: stop touching it immediately, step away, and report it as a potential grounding fault. That tingling sensation is often the only warning you'll get before a serious shock. Electrical hazards are unforgiving because there's often no warning sign until the moment of contact. That's exactly why routine inspection matters here more than almost anywhere else. Slips and trips are one of the most common causes of workplace injury, and also some of the easiest to prevent because the hazards are almost always sitting right in plain sight. A slip happens when there's not enough traction between your foot and the floor. Water, oil, hydraulic fluid, or even fine metal shavings and dust can all cause it. A trip happens when your foot contacts an object or an uneven surface that stops your lower body while your upper body keeps moving. Loose cables, uneven flooring, and blocked walkways are the usual culprits. OSHA actually defines a trip hazard as any floor-level change of a quarter inch or more. That's a much smaller threshold than most people assume. Housekeeping is the single biggest factor in slip and trip prevention. Cluttered walkways, blocked sightlines, and delayed cleanup after spills all compound the risk. During a walkthrough, check floor mats and transition strips for curling edges, and check drain covers and floor grates for looseness. Both are common overlooked trip points. Lighting plays a role too. Dim or burned-out lighting over stairs, ramps, or uneven surfaces turns a minor floor hazard into a serious fall risk. Final scenario: you notice a small puddle near a machine with no wet floor sign. Do you walk around it and keep going, or stop and act? Correct answer: stop, mark the hazard, and report it for cleanup. Walking around a hazard doesn't remove it for the next person. Slip and trip hazards prove a simple point. The biggest dangers are often the most ordinary-looking ones on the floor, and a 5-second scan before every walk is often all it takes to catch them. Let's put it all together with a final walkthrough. As we scan this shop floor, count how many hazards you can spot in 5 seconds. Pause the video now for the full challenge. Here's the reveal: an unguarded conveyor, a worker in the line of fire beneath a suspended load, a frayed extension cord, a worker without eye protection, a worker lifting with poor posture, and an unmarked puddle. 6 hazards, 1 scene. That's the reality of most floors. That 5-second scan is exactly the skill this training builds. The more you practice it during real walkthroughs, the faster it becomes second nature. Studies consistently show that for every serious injury, there are dozens of near misses that went unreported. Closing that gap starts with what you catch on your next walkthrough. Every hazard we've covered today gets caught faster when workers actually report what they see. That's the real value of a trained inspector's eye. Let's recap the 7 categories that drive most manufacturing injuries: machine guarding, PPE, line of fire, ergonomics, forklift basics, electrical hazards, and slip and trip hazards, all things a trained eye can catch on a single walkthrough. Compliance isn't the finish line, it's the minimum. Real hazard recognition means seeing danger before an inspector or an injury ever forces you to. Every hazard we covered today has one thing in common. Someone had the chance to notice it before it caused harm. That chance is what this training gives you. Stay alert, speak up, and never assume someone else already reported it. That wraps up today's hazard recognition training. Take what you've learned back to your floor. Recognition is a habit, not a one-time class. Stay sharp and stay safe.